Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Ladies and gentlemen, summer is officially upon us, and thanks to our friends at Manscaped, it can be your smoothest summer yet with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra Bundle. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code THPN. The Manscaped Performance Package 5.0 Ultra has everything you need to prepare that summer bod. Inside this package, you'll find the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth. Dual LED spotlights provide contrast on multiple skin tones, 3 length setting combs, and get this, the trimmer is waterproof. Use Manscaped's liquid formulations to keep that freshness even at the hottest summer barbecues. The Crop Soother Aftershave Lotion and Crop Preserver Anti-Chafe Deodorant. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 5.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. I have both of those, and they are both awesome. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code THPN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code THPN at manscaped.com. It's smooth summer, boys. Get on board or get left behind. Welcome everybody to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the hockeythinktank.com, a website for all players and parents and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We are bringing on Jon Francisco, the owner of Forecheck Hockey. And this was a phenomenal conversation, went in a couple different ways. He's from the Duluth, Minnesota area in Hermantown, an unbelievable hockey hotbed. He played his college hockey at University of Minnesota Duluth before going on a 7-year professional hockey career. After that, got into youth coaching with his kid. He actually has a son that's going to go play for the NTDP next year. And this was an awesome conversation in all those different accounts. We get into all those things. And before we do bring on Jon, though, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, the one Jeffrey Jehu, Tat Man, Lost Tooth, large guy, bearded dude, guy himself. Vex, what's up today?
What's your 5-year plan? Don't die. Guys, it was Toph's 39th birthday. This is coming. I don't know what day this is coming out, but a few days ago from when this episode is airing. And oh my God, did he get saggy and old real quick. We got a spring chicken on the mic right now, talking to Old Balls Loose Skin. Gross. Yeah, man. Doing well. Having a great week. All the organizations whose in-season training I run are all about to start up here over the next couple of weeks. So I'm just programming my brains out here for the next couple of months out for all the different teams that I work with and my coaches work with for me here in St. Louis across 3 different gyms and rinks. So that's really exciting time as I'm expanding what I'm doing and getting ready to cats out of the bag, try and franchise GMT, give more training outside of St. Louis in 2 years. That is my goal. Get all the systems down, everything, get it all squared away so that I'm able to do this all across the country. GMBM worldwide, if you're watching the video.
I'd.
Yeah, so that's super fun. What are you up to?
Oh, man, I am kind of similar to you, man. Like we got a lot of fun stuff coming up with the Hockey Think Tank. And a lot of that groundwork is being laid right now, which is a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, as you know. And so, yeah, man, like we got some really cool stuff coming up the hopper for the Hockey Think Tank community. We're going to blow that absolutely out of the water, making that better. And we actually filled in our community members with that secret just the other day. Then when they were we do a monthly call with them. And so that's pretty cool. We also have some incredible things on the hopper for our youth organization blueprint. And your boy, Michael Wall, is helping us to deliver on that. And so, yeah, man, like I can't divulge some of the stuff right now, but like there's some pretty cool stuff coming up here in the next couple months, to say the very least.
Pretty big. I'm really excited, man. Pretty cool to see it all be a small part of it. I'm stoked for you.
Yeah, there we go. So this conversation with Jon Francisco, guys, this was awesome. Not only did he have a great playing career, but also got into youth coaching. His company, Forecheck Hockey, is an incredible company. They teach organizations, kids, teams, the value of body checking and body contact. And they have these body checking dummies that they use on the ice. Not your typical ones that just stand there and do nothing, but they actually, like, it's unbelievable. You need to go to his website, Forecheck Hockey, the number 4checkhockey.com. And we had so many, like, the conversation went in a lot of different ways. We had Minnesota hockey talk, which, if you listen to our podcast, you understand the respect and how much we love the community model that they have there in Minnesota. We talked about being a hockey parent. You know, he has a kid that absolutely loves the game. So how do you foster that kind of thing? We talked a lot about body checking and body contact. That is a very relevant topic for so many families in youth hockey, on how to keep your kids safe and how to become a better player by understanding body contact. And so, man, it's just a really cool and he's just a good dude, man. Just a good dude, right?
I'm really excited for people to hear this one. Also because, like, I vividly remember my mom asking Rick Zombo, who had a great NHL career, played for the Blues, played for the Red Wings. I can't remember if he played for anybody else. He was a Lindenwood Division I NCAA coach, their first one in program history, also won a whole bunch of ACHA titles. My mom worked for him at the St. Louis Sting, which was a junior organization, when I was in 5th grade, and I was playing up with 8th graders. So I was like really small and young and playing with guys that were 3 grades ahead of me. And she asked him to take me out to a stick and puck and teach me how to check. And I will never forget it, vividly remember it. I was so nervous to go and do that. I'd never hit anybody before, never taken a hit, like, for real. And it was just like a one-time thing. It was a one-off thing. So, like, what Jon is doing is really, really, really cool and extremely, extremely valuable, especially for all the different reasons that we go over in this podcast.
100%, man. So let's get over to Jon, and we will do that. But before we do, we have some people that we want to thank. First, want to thank our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all your coaching education needs. And you talk about things in the hopper. icehockeysystems.com's got some pretty cool things in the hopper that they're coming out with pretty soon as well. So what do they have? They have thousands of drills on their site. They have whiteboard explanations on systems and structure and development from high-level hockey people. The ability to go in there and draw up your drills online digitally, send them out to your team before practice, build a library for your entire organization. That's where we have partnered with them to do that. So if you can get on there, just imagine having like a library for all of your coaches, or a practice plan library for all of your coaches. Absolutely insane. And so go to icehockeysystems.com, look up that association's platform, get this for all your coaches in your organization and your parents, because they have access to the Hockey Think Tank Parent Survival Guide. Guys, unbelievable value add. Go to icehockeysystems.com today. Jeffrey, go.
Want to say thank you to Train Heroic. As your seasons are rolling around, guys, Train Heroic is the amazing app that I have used since COVID 2020 to deliver training to I haven't looked in a minute, but I want to. I know it's over 20,000 now, but it might be 24,000. It's been a minute since I've looked how many athletes have used some form of my online training. But I work with tons of teams, tons of organizations from NCAA Division I. I was a strength coach using this app for a D1 program, a D3 program, USHL, NOL, NCDC, EHL, won multiple championships with junior teams, training them through this app. Okay. Super easy. If you're looking for in-season training for individuals or for teams, please reach out to me. Using this app makes it so easy and way, way, way cheaper and easier to make sure all of your players are training in season and getting better. It allows you to offer more to your clients, which are the customers, which are the players and their families, for a very, very low price. Videos of everything. These aren't PDFs. So I cannot thank Train Heroic enough for allowing me to do this and this project where I'm able to train so many hockey players for such a cheap price. Also want to thank Cure Nutrition. Actually, I took my Rise pills from Cure Nutrition right as we started this podcast. Yeah, they're unbelievable. I love these things, dude. Lion's mane, a whole bunch of different, not magic mushrooms, just like mushrooms that help the brain, and CBD. All right. I absolutely love them. They help my brain function. You guys don't know if you don't follow me on the gram. I'm bouncing around doing 8 billion things every single day. CBD has been a major part of my health and wellness journey, both from recovery for all the things I do physically, also my brain. I've had 14 concussions. So I've been taking CBD since the 2017, 2018 season, my last year playing. And I've been with Cured Nutrition for a couple of years now. You can go to their website, curednutrition.com. Use my discount code GMBM, or actually during this podcast, I had somebody reach out and ask me how I use CBD and when I would use it if I was them. It was a 19-year-old college player. So please do not hesitate to reach out and ask any questions, who, what, when, where, why about CBD. Hugely passionate about plants over pills. Thank you.
There you go. Want to thank Crossbar. Crossbar Hockey is an unbelievable website. It's an end-to-end website solution for managing and running your youth hockey organization. Guys, this is amazing. Absolutely amazing. The amount of feedback that I've gotten from hockey directors and like parents and youth hockey presidents that use Crossbar for their website and everything that they do, just streamlining their operations. It's absolutely insane how incredible
Easy.
it's and how easy it is. Absolutely. So Crossbar, again, like I said, end-to-end software solution for managing and running your youth hockey program. It's a modern website design. It's very easy. It's very sleek. It looks really, really good. You can set up your registration in minutes, whether it's for like the season or private lessons, drop-ins, anything for families, anything you want. Registration is a part of this. There's a club scheduler that makes things really easy. 5-star mobile communication app, so you don't need, the team snaps and all that. It's run right through the website in Crossbar. There's financial tools for reporting and things like that, volunteer management, and it's also really helpful for facility and rink management too. So basically everything you need to run your youth hockey organization is under one roof. So go to crossbar.org, and honestly, like that, you can schedule a demo. Like this is a phenomenal product. And so, like I said, crossbar.org today. And also want to thank Helios Hockey. Helios Hockey is a product. It's a sensor that you put in your shoulder pad that gives you real-time feedback, real-time data on your play, particularly on things like your stride. And they have a thing called a hustle score, which when you get moving, it's a really cool thing that I don't want to say digitizes and datatizes your work ethic, but it does in a certain way, which the kids absolutely love. There's also a leaderboard, so you can compare yourself to other kids at your age and at your level from around the world. We have developed a partnership with them where if you use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word at checkout, you can get 20% off your Pro Annual or your Pro 24-month subscriptions. So very, very big value add. Biggest value add for this is this sensor. It syncs up with whatever video you're using, and you get that data real-time feedback right away, right after the game. Boom, cuts up your shifts for you. And so no more rewind button, no more fast forward button, no more cutting things up. It does it for you. Insane in the membrane. So go to helioshockey.com today and use that coupon code ThinkTank, one word, and you will get that. Guys, thank you to all of you who continue to listen to our podcast. We didn't say this in the intro. Maybe we should have, but we'll say it right now. We're a top 10 hockey podcast in the US last week. A top 10 as far as downloaded numbers. That's insane, guys. That's absolutely insane. And so we have all of you guys to thank for that. Thank you so much for sharing our show. Thank you so much for putting it in your social media channels and like every comment, download, rating, follow, anything like that. It goes such a long way for us. We appreciate that so much because it gets us out there, and we really want to make a positive impact on the hockey world. And if you guys think we're doing a solid for the hockey world, please continue to share us and continue to interact with our podcast. We appreciate you guys so much. So with that, you're going to love this episode. So without further ado, here we go with Forecheck Hockey's Jon Francisco. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. As those of you know who listen to our podcast, we try to give our listeners insight and perspective to be the best version of you. Whether you're a player, a coach, or even a parent, we want to provide resources to help you live your best life. And one way to do that is through talk therapy. We are huge believers in therapy. It's a great way to have some guided self-reflection and to get to the root of what might be interfering with you living your best life. It can help you to learn better coping skills, maybe set some healthy boundaries for yourself and others, and can empower you to be the best version of you. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's all online and designed to be convenient, flexible to your time, and suited to your schedule. Fill out an online questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. And if that one doesn't work out, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional cost. So stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. Bet on the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved. We are so excited to have on this episode in the podcast. He's up in Hermantown, Minnesota, right outside of Duluth. We got Jon Francisco. Jon, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me out, you guys.
You bet. And just to start this thing off, I'm going to be an absolute tool and say your last name is very fun to say. And if you know that movie, you can be best friends with us. And I'm sure you've heard that way too many times, Jon, eh?
It was actually played on the big screen when I played. I'd be sitting on the bench and they'd throw it on there and it'd just say Francisco. Right? You're just trying to hide behind any teammate you could find, right, the whole time. So,
that is amazing.
That's
all right. Good. So you, Hermantown is the Francisco place to be. And, you know, when we have people that come on the podcast, we always ask them how they fell in love with the game, your family history, quite a bit of it in Duluth there. So if you can, how'd you fall in love with the game? Had to be a grandfather, passed down to father, passed down to you kind of thing.
Yeah, most definitely. It's been in the family. It's had a grandfather that played for one of the first teams at UMD at Minnesota Duluth here, and then just kind of kept going on through the whole family. Had uncles that played, cousins that played. My dad played a little bit, but he was more of a baseball guy, so he played a couple of years of hockey and 4 years of baseball in college. But it's been in the family for a long time. And you grew up in a small town in Hermantown, and we were a really small town, kind of, when I grew up here. It isn't what it is now, and kind of that blue collar skate outside type of mentality. And so we would just basically go to school, walk down from school, and skate every day outside with all the friends and all the, it didn't matter what age you were, everybody was on the ice together. And we have, I think now there's 6 outdoor rinks here in Hermantown. So it's definitely the culture around this area, but lucky enough to do that. And I was lucky enough to play a bunch of years after college meet a lot of great people and travel the country a little bit. And it's tough to not fall in love with the sport. That's for sure.
Every time we have somebody from Minnesota on, I'm like, I kind of wish I grew up in Minnesota, eh?
You are definitely a huge fan of Minnesota. There's no doubt about it. Like, I don't know how people in Illinois are going to feel that about like Chicago's very prideful in their hockey, and I think, but we both see what they do in Minnesota. We see like all the things that they can do, the outdoor rinks, the community model. They do have it pretty damn good there.
Absolutely. How have you seen things change though, John? Like, you've been through the system, you were a player, your dad was a player, your grandfather was a player. Now you have a son that has come through the Minnesota hockey model. Has it changed much since you were a kid, or is it still pretty similar?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, I think you guys are recognizing this just as much as anybody else too around the country, how much it's growing around the country, but it's you're not seeing as many kids skate outside anymore. There's that indoor rink mentality. We lived in California for 10 years. So, I got to coach my kid out there for, since he was 8 months to 10 years old out there. So he's really actually started learning how to play hockey out in California. Right. So then I got to really understand how the rest of the world works and how the other models work outside of Minnesota. So honestly, it took me about a year or two to really wrap my head around it, but seeing the AAA model now and how that all works and, how kids, get access to ice, and it's tough, right? I find it, really difficult for, any kid that wants to just get better and learn and, kind of grow up with that model that I had in Minnesota here. It's tough to duplicate anywhere else that doesn't have that kind of cold weather. We lived in California. I used to tell everybody, I said, get your kids some rollerblades and go meet up at the park somewhere with your friends and just go play. Right. I mean, that's really, you want to have a passion for the game and create a passion, in the kids that want to learn and want to get better. I think that was the biggest thing is just the game should be fun, right? So figure out a way to make it fun and do it that way. It shouldn't be private lessons all the time. It shouldn't be, jumping in and doing drills all the time. I mean, when I coached out there, we used to actually give the kids 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes sometimes at the end of practice just to go mess around, because that's where the love of the game comes from, right? And at the beginning of the season when I was coaching, the coach or the parents would be like, well, we're paying for the ice here. Can you do something? And I said, look, your kids worked hard. They're young. I mean, this is young, right? But your kids worked hard. We're going to let them just have some fun for 15 minutes on the ice. And they loved it, right? It was worth it. So I think that's, like I said, the passion of the game is still what you want to see in every player that comes through, and hopefully pass that on.
Well, that you're a great person to talk to with that, because, the passion of hockey has been passed down through generations of your family. You talk about grandfather played at UMD, your father, yourself, you have a son that's going out to play at the NTDP next year. And to achieve that level of hockey, for the most part, you got to love it. You got to have a passion for it. So like, what were some of the things that you saw, when you were growing up from your grandpa or your dad, some of the things that maybe you would have done with your son to foster that love and that passion for the game?
In all honesty, it was just saying yes to the kids whenever they wanted to do something, right? Like spending that time with your kids is just so valuable. And I was in a position where I was fortunate enough to do that. And my family as well, the same way. It's not, we didn't make a ton of money, but it was enough to just say, hey, you want to go out and play knee hockey or whatever it may be. Right. And so, I think our whole family has been just kind of athletic, right? So it wasn't just hockey. It was, baseball and soccer and football. I mean, I played 3 sports all the way through my senior year of high school, right? Because we were in a small town, and if you didn't have enough players, you didn't have a team, right? So I played football all the way through my senior year. I played baseball all the way through my senior year, and hockey all the way through my senior year too. And I think that helps, right? I mean, you got to get away from the sport a little bit, and you got to just, like I said, if it'll become serious at some point, right? But if you just don't enjoy what you're doing, you got to make it fun for them. Really, is what it comes down to.
Crazy, another multi-sport athlete, Avex, that we've had on that have done some pretty cool things in the sport.
Hey, speaking of, hold on 1 second. Let me pull up this text. Pronger texted me yesterday, and he said it was about the NFL, but we talk a lot about development, obviously, on this podcast. That's something Chris and I are always talking about. He said from the 2018 Super Bowl, 88.7% of the players on the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons played multiple sports in high school. It's not hockey, but a different sport, but it's the same thing. Chris came on the podcast, obviously a Hall of Famer. We talked about that. Toph and I talk about that. Here's just another guy who played multiple sports. Like, it will help you be a better hockey player in the end. There's no doubt about it. You have a bigger toolbox. You have way more movements and thinking. And then also, Toph and I talk about it, but it's been a minute. The other thing too is like every sport, I started training NFL players last summer. This summer was the second year. Kyron Williams, Tony Adams, what's up? Not a big deal. And the culture in their sport is way different than the culture in hockey. The way that those guys interact in the gym, in practices, it is nothing like hockey. I would assume that basketball is very different and soccer is very different. So you're also exposing your kids to a whole bunch of different, ways of thinking and interaction and people, which is just going to make them a more well-rounded adult, individual, whatever, when they're, in the working world or wherever it may be later in life. They're going to have more skills as a human and as an athlete. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, it's a win-win to have kids play multiple sports as long as they can, whatever that means for each individual.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's tough to do nowadays, right? And that's, with having a son that grew up playing sports, and I have a daughter that played sports as well too, up until a certain age. And, it's tough because the seasons run over each other. And, when we were in California, he was playing baseball. He was hard into baseball. He loved baseball. And, we'd tell him like, hey, it's hockey season, so we're going to do hockey. But once it's baseball season, we're going to do baseball. If there's hockey and you have a night off, then we'll do it, right? But other than that, like, this is what season it is. And a lot of coaches and people didn't really understand that either, right? And so it was tough to really kind of change that culture, but we stuck to it. And he played baseball up until last year, and so my son did. And so, he even says he misses it still, right? But I mean, when you make that commitment to go with the development program, some things have to get shaved off, right? And so, but I think I agree with you guys 100%. If you can play multiple sports, it's not only good for the kid, but it's good for the parents too, right? Like, you see the same parents all year, every year, right? And it's okay to have a break from each other a little bit too, and see a different group of parents too.
Probably not even okay. Probably need it. Well, let me ask you this, because this is something that I ran into. It wasn't on my team, but I saw it on the team below me that I was coaching when I first retired. There was a kid, and he's one of my guys who I've trained him since he was like 9 years old. He plays in the USHL now. Really good player because he was a really good soccer player too. He's just an all-around athlete. But I remember watching his coach get super upset when he would show up to practice, like right on time. So he'd be on the ice a little bit late because he's coming from soccer. At the time, he was 14 years old. And I'm looking at it from a developmental standpoint. And I'm like, we know he's not showing up late because he's an idiot. He doesn't understand time. He's being a bad kid. He's literally coming from another AAA soccer program. He's able to do both. And he was one of the best players on the team. And he, now he's in the USHL. Like, I know his coach used to be super upset about him being late and stuff. How did you deal with that as a coach? And how did you look at that from a parent perspective?
Well, I was a coach a lot of the times until a certain age, right? But as long as the communication is there from the get-go, right? And then that's easily explainable because what happens is a kid comes late, and a lot of times, the kids could care less what time they show up, or like their teammates show up, right? They're there, they're on the ice, they're practicing, right? But if a parent sees them come in later, right? And then it's like, oh, he got here at this time and now he's playing. And, I mean, it's it goes back to communication as far as the coach and with the families and stuff. And you don't need to over explain yourself a little bit, but just say, look, these are the rules. This is a kid that's very fortunate to be able to play both AAA sports. And you got to have a little grace for those parents too. I mean, they're running all over the place. I can't imagine what that's like as a parent with a kid in two AAA sports, right? And trying to look at that calendar, and if they even have other kids in the family, right? So,
which they do.
Yeah. I give them a lot of credit. Yeah.
And I was talking to Trent Frederick about this this past week. It plays for the Bruins. I've trained him.
How many names do you want to drop here this episode?
Well, watch your feet, bro. It's tough. When you
Stronger, two NFL guys, T. Freddie.
Yeah, get on my coattails, bro. Let's go. All right. So, but I have a he's probably a sophomore in high school, and he wants to play football for his high school, and he's playing AAA hockey. And he's like, I really want to do both. The high school team is telling me like they'll help me get a scholarship because I'm such a good athlete. Blah blah blah. how did Trent do both? Because I told him, hey, Trent was a quarterback and actually a really, really good one. And so I asked Trent, and Trent was saying that his coach, when he played at the program, so he was probably 15 as a freshman before he left for NTDP. If he had a football game Friday night, if he played in it, he would get sat for the game on Saturday morning. I personally completely disagree with that. I don't think that's okay. I think that's like old school thinking and all this stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Like, we want to like make hockey, available for everybody. We want everybody to play. We talk about multi-sport athletes. I think that people say in practice, yes, I want guys to play multiple sports. But then when they're coaching and they've got a guy who has to miss a practice every now and then, which, guys, it isn't the end of the world if it's for this type of reason, right? Like, do you have any advice for coaches out there, mainly coaches, to navigate these situations?
Yeah, just for the coaches. I would say it's you would want. To me, I would want athletes on my team, right? And if they're good kids, right? Like that's what you're really ultimately looking for. And I think that as far as a coach goes, if they're communicating with you and letting them know that they're going to be there, or they're going to be late, or they're going to be gone, or whatever it is, as long as it's not like, hey, I'm gone, and then you find out on an Instagram post or something like that they're at the beach or something, right? Like that's a little bit different than missing practice. But as a coach, we want as many athletes as we can on our team, right? Because it's only going to build not only the strength of the team, but the strength of each individual player, right? So in my theory or my philosophy is if you have good players and they bring up those people around them, it's only going to make everybody else around them better, right? And so, you don't want your star player to go take the puck and go skate all the way down the ice, right? You want them to move the puck, and then hopefully they'll learn to move it back at some point, right? And so it's just part of that development model. But I think if you've got multiple athletes or multiple multi-sport athletes, find a way to work it out and get as many of them on your team as you can. You'll probably be better off for it too.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like one thing I talk about a lot is like idealism versus reality. Like idealism is, hey, there's 3 sports. There's fall, there's winter, and there's spring, and then summer you get off, and you're gonna play one in the fall, one in the summer, and one in the winter, and one in the spring. And it's funny, like I had my family over for dinner last night, and my sister has an 8-year-old who made travel baseball. Same thing. Loves baseball, loves hockey. Same thing. Travel baseball starts in January.
Yeah.
Indoor travel baseball for 8-year-olds.
Right.
And so we literally had this conversation at the dinner table yesterday. And the reality of the situation is every sport thinks their sport is the most important sport. Every coach thinks their team is the most important team. Even for the kid, if it's number 3 on their list, it doesn't matter. Because, and it's not even necessarily just the coach, but sometimes coach feels pressure, like you talked about earlier, from the parents. And it's like, hey, like I'm, especially with the costs that go with playing club hockey nowadays. Hey, I'm paying all this money here and we're doing all your clinics. We're doing this and that and the other thing. And then here's this multi-sport athlete that they'll say shows up when they want to. And then so like the coach is trying to appease everybody. And when you try to appease everybody, you appease nobody.
Right.
And so it's the reality of the situation where just like the whole youth sports machine, forget about just youth hockey, but like literally, I don't know. And I've talked to other people in other sports about this stuff, and it's the same issues. Everybody has the same issues. It's a year-long sport for everybody. Yeah. It's off. There's no off season anymore. It's my sport is the number 1 sport. It's, hey, we got to treat them like pros at 9 years old. It's wild. And so that what I think about, and that's why Vex, like I love Minnesota so much, is because you get that purity of what sports is supposed to be about when you're younger, a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit easier in Minnesota, but yeah.
But it's funny. Like I was even talking to somebody the other day, like, the whole community model and how impactful and important that could be. Like I look at like tier 2 clubs here in Chicago, and I'm not throwing darts at the tier 2 clubs here in Chicago, but like nobody has the town name in their name anymore.
That's crazy.
It's so-and-so hockey club.
Yeah.
So-and-so hockey club. There's a few that do, but like what happened? Like where did we go so wrong that like it became this machine that like we can't have the town name because we want kids from other towns to play for our club kind of thing.
Right.
And that's just not what youth sports is supposed to be about, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why the Minnesota thing, sorry for getting on my soapbox, but like it's crazy, but
No,
it's
funny.
everywhere.
It's funny you say that too, right? And so, why do we put our kids in sports anyways, right? It's to learn good habits, right? Be healthy, make friendships, right? Have some experiences and learn to be a good teammate, all that kind of stuff, right? And then it always seems like everywhere, somewhere along the way, we get lost on this like return on investment, right? Like sports is like your worst ROI ever if you're looking for like a payday out of it, right? So like I tell everybody, I said, look, we spent money on sports and stuff, and that's fine, but we looked at it as we're paying for friendships and experiences, right? So if like we did a tournament or we didn't do a tournament or whatever it was, like if we were going somewhere, if it was worth the money to go play so-and-so place, like if you're going somewhere, go to a baseball game while you're there, or go see a museum while you're there, or go see some history stuff, or whatever, go to the beach while you're there, right? And at least you're getting the experiences out of it too, like the life and the family experiences out of it. If you're not getting all that, it's not worth I heard people paying upwards of $60,000 over COVID for a hockey season one year, right? And it's like, holy cow. But I mean, you look at the prep schools and all that, and they do cost money, right? But at those younger ages, there's no reason to spend that kind of money, So, I don't know where it's gone or how it's going that way, or Toph, I think we've had this talk before too, just of how expensive it's gotten, right? And there's got to be a way to make this cheaper somehow, some way. And like I said, I started trying to do it in California and just saying, hey, go grab some rollerblades. Go in the yard, go in the backyard. Like there's concrete everywhere, right? You can go skate somewhere, right? If you got a pair of rollerblades. So, Anywho.
I love it. Well, crazy how we talk about passion for the game, and here you get three guys really passionate about how we need to get passion back in the freaking game. At the end of the day, it has become so much of a business, and it is like I worry for the health of our sport, just in terms of the amount of people playing. I think particularly here in the States, we got a pretty big boom when the NHL moved south, and we got a lot more people into it. And I feel like there's going to be a plateau and then eventually a dip. And you're already kind of seeing that, where like it just has become a little too nuts for everybody. And we're going to choose like maybe another sport because we can't afford to make that investment anymore.
Right.
Like you said, but I really do like what you said there about investing, not just necessarily in like the scholarship or playing pro hockey or whatever, but like investing in the experience. That's the way that my family always looked at it too. Like our hockey tournaments were our family vacations. And so finding things for my sister and my little brothers to do, in between games, going to different places and having some fun. And that's where like, also the craziness of hockey can also be a good thing in a sense, where you got to be a little nuts to put your kid in youth hockey in a certain respect. And so we're all in this together. And so you kind of form bonds from that too. And so I would imagine just in your son's journey throughout the sport, you've probably made a ton of unbelievable friends and relationships, whether you were in California or now here in Minnesota, that have, been probably lifelong.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we still just talked to somebody yesterday that he used to play, my son used to play with their kids, and, one of them was their coach, and, just kind of stay in touch, right? It's funny how small the hockey world really is when everybody finally connects. And I mean, you and I connected through this whole thing somehow, some way, through hockey people. And, Vex, I'm sure we probably know the same people some way, somehow as well too. So it's a cool community when you're part of it, right? And, the good people tend to stick around. Not to say that the not good people aren't around either, right? But, it's a really cool community. And like I said, it's a small one, but it's large as well. It's really kind of odd to explain, but yeah, I mean, anybody that's in it knows it. It's the travel, you guys spend time on the road, right? Sometimes you're, a couple hotel rooms or car rides or whatever it may be to help keep costs down. And so it's, you can't make it some weekend, you send your kid with another family or whatever it may be. It's funny how everybody kind of steps up to help that whole situation.
Yeah, it is a community that can be pretty. That's like the crazy part about it too. Is like the culture is pretty damn toxic in youth hockey in a lot of different places, but it's also amazing at the same time. It's like so weird, and maybe that's similar in other sports too. But like, there's and that's what we always talk about. Vex, we say it all the time. Like, it's so weird how the culture can be so toxic, yet like 95% of the people in our sport are amazing.
I think it's such an expensive sport now that clouds a lot of people's judgment, that they're like, I'm spending this much, I have to get something, like he said, like I have to get an ROI. It's like, well, there's so many ROIs, they're just not monetary for most people. Like, you've got to see, like, what's that saying? I never understood that. So you got to see the forest through the trees. I don't even know what that means, but you guys know what I'm saying. You gotta understand like why you're doing this stuff.
Keep going on that. See the forest for you. What
isn't that a saying? I never understood that, but I'm sure you used it at Cornell and the Ivy Leagues. And
it's kind of like a zoom out, zoom in thing.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
We'll leave it at that. Well, let me ask you this, Jon. So, you have a son that plays, and, you played 7 years pro hockey after you're done with your time at Duluth. And a question that I wanted to ask you, because I kind of fell into this, and I know Vex did too, is like, it's just a different world in youth hockey, and you could play at a high level, you could coach at a high level, and then you get into youth hockey and it's just a learning experience. You think you going into it that you're going to be this great coach or whatever, and you know everything. And then you figure out pretty quickly that you're a rookie, just like everybody else. Cause it's just a different experience. So how was that like, cause I would imagine, I think you probably would have been coaching your son while you were still playing even. Or maybe right after, I don't know when.
Right after, yeah.
Right after. So like, what was that transition for you? Like kind of playing high level hockey and then getting into coaching your kid?
Oh man. It was pretty crazy. I mean, he was still 2-3 years old when I was playing. So it was cool to like have him, my wife would drop him off at the rink after our practices, right? Leave the gear on and we'd all go out and skate with him, and he'd get out on the ice and have, be able to wheel around with whatever boys were still left out. If there was a goalie, it was even a bigger bonus, right? But then, after I got done playing and coaching him and, we didn't have him at the biggest program that was around. It wasn't like the top notch program in California when we were out there. And it was one that was closest to us. So I said, you know what, I'm going to coach, and, anybody that wants to come with me can come with me. And, got a couple of dads that ended up becoming assistant coaches, and, they knew a little bit of hockey, but they were good with the kids, really. I mean, that was kind of the biggest thing, right? And it's keeping them upbeat and not beating them down. And, I mean, had this conversation with my son the other day when we were in the car, and I was like, do you remember when you were that little? And he's like, no, not really. He's like, I remember like the obstacle courses, and, we used to always kind of make it fun and competitive, right? As long as it was always competitive, and fun. I think that was kind of the biggest thing, coaching him. But yeah, you become, I don't know. I got out of hockey for a little bit when I was done playing, just because I had, those sour apples a little bit, and had a bunch of injuries as well too. So it was good to get away from the game. But when you come back and you realize how much fun it can be, it's almost like you become a kid all over again, especially when you have a little kid in it. Right. And so you become that kid all over, and you're playing, you're putting your shin pads on for practice just because you want to play knee hockey, and play on your knees and whatever. So it's the game has changed a lot, though. It's a lot more skill. It's not, I mean, if I'm not even 6 foot, I'd like to say I was 6 foot. I always said I was 6 foot in the program, but I wasn't. So,
yeah, must be nice to be able to be close to 6 foot, Jon.
Sorry about that one. Yeah, that might've hit on a little bit, but, no, it's more of a skill game now too. Right. But I mean, it still has that competitive, and again, it goes back to, if you can't skate, you can't play. So I taught a lot of skating. Made sure that was a big part of all of our practices growing up, and just had that competitive, fun atmosphere.
Oh, I want to go be a player again so badly. So badly.
So badly.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking me the other day, what do you like better, being a player or coach, and why, kind of thing. And for me, it was like player. And they were like, well, why do you say that? And my answer is, when I dream about hockey, I don't dream myself being a coach. Like, every dream I have about hockey, I'm a hockey player.
You're not wearing the Air Bombay loafer in your dreams?
Of course I am. But seriously, like, yeah. Anyways, so going along with this, so you've been a coach for a long time here, Jon. You've seen the evolution of the game, and I want to dive in now to what you're doing with forecheck hockey, because it's a huge value add for any organization out there. And so, if you can, talk about why you started it. First, talk about a little bit of what it is, and then talk about why you started forecheck hockey in your path as a coach and learning about the development of kids in the sport.
Sure. Yeah. So my company is called Forecheck Hockey. Started it. Well, I just renamed it actually just this past year. It was previously under a previous name of Francisco Hockey, pretty generic, right? But
Fun to say though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. But we teach contact checking, concussion prevention, with the use of custom dummies that slide on the ice. And so these dummies we've had for about 5 years, and we just keep kind of developing them as they go. But really what the whole reason it started is I got out of the game, after a while. I had a little tough time, right? And so I didn't know if it was concussions, and it really got me thinking, like, how many concussions did I really have, right? I mean, I played football, I played hockey. Vex, I know you obviously have the history of it as well too. And so, just getting into that and diving in, and then having a kid that was starting to get up towards that age of contact and checking, started looking into ways that you could teach it. Right. And so what I found was there really wasn't much out there at all. And so playing football, I was like, hey, football's had dummies for 40 years, right? Like, there's got to be something for hockey. And there really wasn't out there. And so we ended up getting our hands on a couple dummies that I bought off a guy, and just started teaching my kid how to do it, and started doing it in game-like scenarios. Taking my background from coaching and trying to make it fun, make a game-like scenario and how it translates. And then turning that into, it ended up being him, and then it was his buddies, and then it turned into me just doing camps. And before you know it, I contract with organizations now, all in Minnesota and actually around the country now, but started in Minnesota, and over 5 years now, we have over a third of the state of Minnesota that we train their associations. So we've got roughly 45, 50 associations that we train every single year with these dummies. We go in, we teach them, we give them a video on how to, what concussions really are, right? And simply on a kid's term, right? Like that, so they understand it. Because when you ask kids what a concussion is, they're like, you hit your head hard. And it's like, no, it's not that, right? And so we get a little video, we show them that, and then we show them, where they commonly happen on the ice, and positions that you should not be putting yourself in. And then we jump on the ice for 2 hours with these dummies, and we actually train the coaches in the organization as well too. And so the coaches will push the dummies. But then it works well having the organization's coaches push the dummies, because they know the kids, right? They say, look, you can stop the kid, talk to the kid. And so it's really been a great relationship. And we've had a 92% retention rate over the last 5 years, and we just keep continuing to grow. It's been awesome. And the kids have a blast. We turn the music up in the rink if we can, right? And put them into 4 groups and keep the groups small. It's roughly an 8-to-1 coach to player ratio. So the kids are constantly moving. Every drill is an angle with a hit, and grab a puck, make a pass, make another pass, shoot on a goalie. So we have goalies in there too, right? So tell the goalies during the camps, like, hey, if you guys want to jump in line and hit these things, go for it, right? And so some of them love it, some of them don't want to do it, and it's fine, right? We've found a large growth in the girls' side. We've tripled over the last 3 years in the girls' side of this as well too, and it's been awesome. And girls have a lot of fun with it too, right? They'll just go blast these things. And the biggest thing about the dummies is it allows kids to make mistakes, right? So, we tell people instantly it lowers the opportunity of injury and concussions by 50%, because they're not even hitting anybody while they're learning how to do all this. But then, we progress from the dummies to each other. So then they're learning how to handle, how to give a hit, how to take a hit, just the body contact and, body positioning, right? Those are the other things.
I love that. First of all, what most people don't know, and this is for like the people very interested in girls hockey, but like there's more concussions in women's hockey than there is in men's hockey. And I've heard a couple different theories on why that is. Maybe, but like what I've heard is that the neck muscles aren't necessarily as strong, but also because there's no checking, but there is contact, like girls are kind of like a little bit more maybe reckless isn't the right word, but like they'll go into situations just kind of like not protecting themselves and not putting themselves in good situations. Those are just the things that I've heard. But is that something that you've heard too, John or Vex, as far as like concussions? There's more in girls hockey than boys hockey?
Well, I've just seen, like, from training. I trained 3 or 4 AAA girls teams on both Saturdays and Sundays in the off season for the last couple of years here, and they're, women aren't as strong as men, especially when they're younger. Like they don't have the same strength. So like their ability to change direction and decelerate and stuff, a lot of times at looking at AAA girls that I train, and this is just the ones that I train, versus AAA boys at the exact same age, their physical abilities are not anywhere near the same on average. And so like their ability to control their body is way, way less. So even though I literally was thinking about this last week, because we did a whole bunch of change of direction last Saturday. And I was just thinking, like, I really, really need to keep focusing on change of direction, controlling their body, deceleration, and things like that. Because on the ice, if you aren't able to do those things, you're going to go ass over tea kettle. You're going to be out of control going into the boards. You're going to run into somebody and bounce off and things like that. So from just like a strength perspective, body awareness perspective, at least with the AAA girls that I train that are, I train the same age AAA boys. They do not have the same strengths, which would lead to way more injuries.
Interesting. John, have you had any knowledge or basis on that, or?
I'd say just from what people, I mean, I don't have a female that plays hockey, right? I got a daughter who's going to college next year, but she didn't play hockey. But from what I've heard and what I've seen, a lot of times it's not really thought of, I guess. They don't really think of that physical aspect. And then, when you don't think about it, or you don't train on it, or you don't practice on it, you're not ready for it. Right. And so,
yeah,
I just think, I don't know, there's some people that are really aggressive, right? And some are really timid, and that's same in boys, same in girls. And, it's, our goal is to really just make it more aware for people, give people more opportunities to do it.
That's why I think like, it's such a value add for the boys, but I think it's such a value add for the girls too, just from the things that you're talking about. I think it's huge. And I have 3 daughters now. And so it's something that I think about and try to speak to some people on. And yeah, I think like it's such a huge value add for the women's programs. You said that it's growing, and I think that's great on that side.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And like I said, the way we set it up is we try to get the coaches involved in the organizations too, right? Like we want them to learn and give them the tools and the resources to learn. And now we're able to sell the dummies with the program to these organizations. And so instead of us just going and showing up for a day or, a couple hours or whatever it may be, now they have the dummies and they can go train on them themselves. And the new dummies we have sticks on them as well too. So we're actually kind of transitioning to kind of an all-in-one training tool at this point. So you can stick handle around it, shoot through it, use it for goalie screening, D screening, whatever it may be. And so, use them for hitting, use them for checking, all that kind of stuff too. So it's really a lot of fun.
Can you explain for the listeners kind of like what the dummies look like if they've never been to your Instagram or been to your website or anything? Like, what do they look like? How heavy are they? Things like that?
So the basis of them is like those punching bag things, right? And so that's kind of the base model of it all, but we've done a bunch of modifications to them and added to them, and in order to get sticks on there, so the sticks go on, the sticks come off. They've got pads on them as well too, and so we throw a jersey and a helmet on it just to make it look like a player a little bit more too. And I'll tell you what, kids, even the little kids that are just starting, like the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, they love these things on the ice as well too, because it actually helps them keep their heads up now. Right. So, they may not be using these to hit, but they use it to actually keep their heads up now. And so it's a ton of fun. Like I said, they have a blast out there. Like I said, it's made for them to be okay making mistakes. Right. Because they're not going to, they really understand what their bodies are capable on the ice, and it makes kids stronger on their skates, makes them understand body position, makes them understand, how to get their hips down and their heads up. And so it's been a fun progression over the last 5 years, and we look to kind of keep continuing that.
That's cool. So you mentioned a little bit earlier, when you're on the ice and you're training the coaches or you're on the ice with the kids during your camps, that two of the things that you talk about a lot are teaching kids how to hit and then teaching kids how to take a hit too. And both are equally important. And so, for our listeners, for our coaches out there and for our kids out there that are getting to that age or maybe are that age, what are some tips that you would give to kids on both of those, on how to give a check and then how to take a hit too?
Well, what we teach is the game is all angles now, right? You got to take a proper angle at anything to even pinch somebody off now, or I think if you're gonna give a hit, that's the biggest thing, is you have to take a good angle, right? And you're gonna try 10 times and you're gonna miss 8 of them. It's okay, right? And that's kind of part of it until you learn how to take that proper angle. And then taking hits, you just don't turn your back. That's kind of the biggest thing, right? They call them pre-hits or whatever like that too. And instead of actually just taking the hit, why not give a little bit back while you're getting one, right? Instead of just taking it and absorbing it. Some people teach along the boards, just kind of let yourself get squeezed off. There's different ways to do it. It's tough to really explain. Just don't put yourself in a bad position where you're not aware of what's going on around you, right? I think that's the biggest thing, because before you know it, somebody comes out of nowhere, and that's really where the injuries happen. I mean, I think the stats now are there's 500,000 hockey injuries a year right now, right? And 60,000 of them are serious enough for hospitalization. And 1 out of 4 hockey players will receive a concussion over their career. Or a head-related injury over their career. So that's 25% of players, right? Like that's a lot. And so, I think, you can put the best helmets on in the world. And Jeff, you can probably agree with me on this. Even if you have the best helmet on in the world, it's not going to stop your brain from hitting the inside of your skull. Yeah. Right. Like your only protection for your brain is that fluid inside of your head. Right. And so if you have the best helmet on in the world, it's still not going to stop that brain from sloshing around in your head and hitting the inside of your skull. So how do we fix that? We fix that by putting yourself in better situations, being aware of what's going on around you. And I tell people it's not bad all the time to have to back out of something, right? Like it's okay until you learn how to give a hit or take a hit. Like we always used to, in the old days, is like get in there and go, right? And so now it's try and rub somebody off a little bit, and it doesn't have to be a big booming hit anymore. Contact is contact. It's body. That's what we call our camps, body contact, not checking clinics, right? Because of the boys and the girls side as well too. So,
and it's interesting as you see in the NHL now, you see more and more guys getting dummied because like they don't expect to be hit. Like it's kind of it's kind of weird. Like what? I would never have cut across the middle like that. Obviously these guys are better than me, but like if I'm coming across the middle, like I'm preparing to get absolutely murdered. And now there's so many guys you watch that just cut across the middle, just like, oh, this is cool. And then they get murdered. And it's like, dude, what you put yourself in the worst spot possible to be alive. So, I love that you're using it also for like teaching the game, teaching head up, teaching awareness, spatial awareness, like all those types of things where over the last, I don't know, since Pep became just massive, it's probably been the last like 6, 7, 8 years. Now all of a sudden everybody is straight head looking at their skates at all times. And we got to get back to teaching these kids to play with their freaking head up. You also said something there that something I've thought a lot about in youth hockey. When I was younger, if you alligator arm something when you saw a guy who's stepping up on you and was going to murder you, like, no, you take the hit to make the play. At the younger ages, like now, I if I was still coaching and if you're skating up the middle and you think somebody's stepping up on you and they're going to try and kill you and you've been playing in the game against this team and they're trying to take your heads off, I'd rather you protect yourself. I'd rather you not take the hit to make this play, especially if they're below like 16 years old. Yep. And especially if it's below the AAA level. I mean, it really doesn't matter from a human zoomed out forest through the trees, if you will, perspective. Bringing that back full circle for you guys, Western Michigan University. I'd rather you alligator arms it and tell the kids not to put themselves in that dangerous, precarious position without scaring them that they're doing that all the time type of thing, which is obviously really hard to coach. But, you know, it's like, just made me think about like when you're younger, it's like, oh, you're catching a pass across the middle. You know, you're going to get murdered. Well, you still got to do it. Yeah. And now I'd be like, let the puck go and throw your shoulder into the guy. Like, don't worry what happens to the puck. Like, I don't care. I want you to be alive. I don't need you getting a concussion.
Right. I definitely agree with you. It's funny too, because when we do these camps and we do the video sessions, we ask every player that's in there, like, who knows what a suicide pass is, right? And these kids are 13, 14, 15 years old, and maybe half the kids in the room actually.
No, really?
Wow. Yeah, and that's on average, right? Wow. And so I kind of dove into it a little bit. And here in Minnesota, like, the rules kind of protect you, right? So they moved checking up from peewees, right? And the numbers of concussions all went down, and that's great. But what I'm worried about is the severity of concussions, I think, that are happening are going up, because now you've introduced this contact at an age where we've got puberty happening in some kids and not in others, right? And so, you know, there's some kids that are 6'1", 6'2" years old at 13, 14 years old, and they're coming across the middle on a kid that's still, you know, 5 feet, right? So, and that's when they're supposed to learn how to do it. And the rules in Minnesota protect you, and I don't know how it is around the rest of the country, but you can't open ice hit in Bantams. So you can't actually just blow somebody up across the middle because it's a penalty, right? But once you get to like high school, all those rules kind of go out the window, right? So now you can blow somebody up across the middle and you can hit somebody, as long as it's not straight head contact type stuff, right? But you know, you can angle somebody off in open ice, but you can't just go step up and run somebody over at the Bantam level here. And so the problem is, like I said, we're going from no hitting, no contact to somewhat that and protected open ice stuff to then absolutely nothing, right? And right, normal open hockey, right? And so I think that awareness, like you said, it's not there of a suicide pass or a putting yourself in the wrong position, or, you know, somebody stepping up on the boards even, right? So we even teach, you know, kids how to position themselves to take a hit from behind, right? Like you're on the wing and a defenseman comes down to hit you, how to squat down, how to be strong on your skates, get a strong hockey position, and even use your stick to lean on if you start falling over a little bit too, right? So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know.
Do you see more players when they get to the high school level after, I'm assuming, they had way less fear cutting through the middle in 8th grade, and then now you see guys just instinctively cutting to the middle, and then, oh my God, I forgot I can get murdered now? Is that happening?
Yeah, it's kind of where they're getting indoctrinated, right? Like that's kind of where they're getting their education at that point, right? And so, like I said, they're so protected under the rules, and you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love, you know, the game of hockey, and I think the physical aspect is always going to be part of it. It's not what it used to be either, right? Like when you and I when we all played, right? But I still think that there's no way that you're going to get fully rid of body contact. And even more proof is the women's game right now. That's actually picking up in body contact right now too, right? So, you know, the game's just too fast and people are going to run into each other. There's just, you know, if guys are headhunting, then, you know, that's obviously not what we want in the game. But, you know, that people learning, or players learning how to properly protect themselves, be in the right positions, and you know, mistakes are going to happen. Nothing's foolproof to this whole thing too, right? So, but
yeah, it's such an interesting debate. Like you have some people that are like, start checking at mites, start checking as young as possible, because like you said, the numbers of concussions might be a little bit higher, but the severity as they get older might be a little bit lower if you teach it to a little bit younger of an age based on all the factors that you just talked about. Right. And I know USA Hockey, you know, they took a lot of flack when they changed from Pee Wee to Bantam. But like they're really trying to like teach checking without saying they're teaching checking, you know, at the younger ages, like what you said, you call it body contact, not body checking. And I think the more that we can introduce those kinds of things, and the more that we can do to help kids understand that they have to play with their heads up and there's a consequence to not doing that, you know, by doing that at the younger ages. And I'm not talking about having mites, you know, stepping up.
Doing the gauntlet?
Taking each other. It's a gauntlet. Yeah, that's something that they don't do anymore in practice that we did. But like introducing that stuff at the youngest of ages and doing what you do and teaching people how to give and receive body contact, like that's going to significantly decrease the amount of head injuries at a later age. And so it's just such a good thing. And you even look at the numbers, like the drop off of kids leaving hockey after peewees into bantams when checking starts. It's a lot. It's a lot.
The stats are the
yeah.
stats are 70% of players quit by the time they're 13 years old.
Is that what it is? 70%?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Is that, do you think it's mostly from checking, or do you think it's kind of,
yeah, I don't know. And I don't know where those, I don't know exactly where those stats come from. Right. I mean, it could be they quit at 10 years old. Right. And so they say most of the players quit by, 70% quit by the time they're 13. I have no idea what age that actually is, but I think, to be honest with you, I think USA Hockey and Hockey Canada has done a great job at the whole concussion research and stuff though too, right? Like they put out some great stuff, and I think, they're smarter than I am though too, right? And they're putting those things in place for a reason, right? Canada's also thinking about moving it even more so now too, right? And so, like I said, I don't think the contact part is going to fully leave the game in any way, shape, or form. If it does, then maybe I'll be out of business. But, I think the game is just too fast to still not be able to teach people how to be, cognizant of their own body, what they're capable of, and what they can do with it.
That's awesome. So I want to shift gears here, and I'm going to try to be funny a little bit, but not funny all at the same time, because I'm not a comedian by any means, like my talented cousin co-host over there. But I think one of the interesting things, we have a lot of parents that listen to our podcast that want to do what's best for their kids. And a lot of parents have kids that have dreams of playing high-level hockey one day. Sure. You have a son that's going to be going to the national program next year to play for the NTDP. And so the funny part of my question is like, how do you create an NTDP player? What were you doing at home? What were some of the things you focused on? What'd you do with them? But like, in all honesty though, we do have a lot of parents that have kids that have dreams that your son is going to realize this year,
for sure.
Playing for Team USA. And so I'd love to ask you, just like, what were some things that you emphasized with him? What were some things that you did with him when you were coaching? What were some things that were really important to you for your father-son relationship and your family relationship?
Yeah.
As you were guiding him on his journey to get to where he is today.
Well, like any father-son, or child relationship that you're coaching, we had the conversation at a young age and continued to have that conversation. Like, this is dad, coach, or this is coach, and this is dad, right? Like when I was coaching him, he had to call me coach, right? And then once we walked out of that rink, I was dad again, right? And so there was kind of that. We made sure that we just had those fine lines, right? And made it apparent, like, hey, I'm not treating you any different than I'm going to treat your teammates, right? And I'm not going to call you, I'll call you out if I need to call you out. I mean, I've benched him a couple times because he didn't work hard, right? And, that's tough as a dad, right? But I know for his development and for him personally, and for me to be accountable to the whole team, I had to, right? He wasn't working hard, so I had to bench him, right? And so got in trouble in the car on the ride home, but it was, it was a good lesson though too. But I think the biggest thing was, again, instill that passion in them. Like I said, if you can't skate, you can't play. That's kind of the biggest thing for me. That's always been kind of our motto from the get-go. You look at everybody that's really good skaters, they at least make it to a certain level, right? You can pick up the skills of hands and IQ, and you can teach all that stuff. But if you can't skate, that's one of the biggest things for us. And the competitive nature of it all too. I think you have to have a certain level of compete if you want something, right? And he had that level of compete, and he enjoyed it, and he had fun with it. And so once he got to that age, I'd sit down with him, and he'd tell me his goals for the year, right? We would goal set a little bit too, right? And sit down, and he'd write it out, so then he could go back to it and look at it. And, I think visually for guys, especially, seeing that stuff is, I'm more of a visual person as well too. And so I think he's, every year he's kind of sat down and figured out kind of his goals, and whether he's hit them or he hasn't hit them. And you just take everything as a learning experience too. And I've told him over and over, like, you have to enjoy the ride and the you have to enjoy the process more than the outcome. Right. So, you know, he's got to enjoy working out, and he's got to enjoy, you know, going to the rink every day, and he's got to enjoy eating healthy, and he's got to enjoy making a green shake or whatever's in that shake. Right. Like, and eating at a certain time and getting to bed and making those sacrifices. Like, you know, I think what I tell people about our son, I mean, both of our kids, is most people don't understand or see the amount of work that they put in away from everything. Right. I mean, just the discipline of things too. Right. And so the toughest part for us as parents, though, is he's got to want it or she's got to want it. Like, they've got to want it themselves. We can't want it for them. Right. We can remind them here and there, but, you know, that'll just turn into a big fight after a while too. Right. So it's like.
So that's a really interesting point. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that because like there are a lot of parents who want it more than their kids do. Particularly a lot of parents that maybe didn't get to the level that they wanted to, or just parents that want their kids to achieve and push their kid, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a nefarious or bad circumstance with that, but like, how do you foster an environment where your kid can fall in love with something? How do you kind of navigate those waters? How do you, because that's something even for me and my kids, like my oldest daughter's 7 now. And so she's starting to figure out life a little bit and things that she likes and things that she doesn't like. And I want to help her to, you know, figure out what that is that she likes, figure out what it is that she doesn't like. And then when she starts to like something, you know, what do I do as a parent to help foster that? And so maybe this is just Toph on the therapy couch asking you as a new dad. But like, you know, how do you create that environment where they can fall in love with it? And like, how do you kind of foster that with them?
I guess let them kind of lead the way a little bit, right? We can introduce stuff to them and they should be trying everything, right? You know, we put our daughter in everything from sports to guitar to, you know, anything, and just to try and help her find her passion and what she likes and what she does. Did the same thing with our son, right? And his thing was sports and athletics. And so we put him in everything. He played soccer, he played baseball, he plays golf a lot right now, obviously. But he played football for a couple of years as well, too. And water polo, you know, I mean, it's just, you just try to help them figure out what it is that they enjoy doing, and they'll tell you, right? If they enjoy it, they'll want to get up and they'll want to go to wherever they want to go, right? And if they don't want to go there, then you just kind of got to navigate that a little bit, right? Like, why is it that they don't want to do that? Or, you know, is it the coach? Is it the practice is boring? Is it the, you know, the teammates? Is it, maybe there's a reason for it, right? You know, I think just having those open lines of communication with your kids instead of just assuming. I've had to learn to start listening more than talking as the kids get older, right? Mm-hmm. Because when they're little, you want to teach them everything you can, and you don't want to miss a thing. And as parents, we screw up and we make mistakes, and you know, just like kids too. So we're all human in that respect. But I think, you know, just following them and trying to encourage whatever passion that they have, right? I mean, I use our daughter all the time. She had this love of guitar. She's like, I want to play the guitar and I want to do this. I'm like, okay. So we bought a guitar. We bought her a guitar and I bought a guitar, right? I was like, hey, we'll go do lessons together, right? Something that we can spend time doing. Well, we went to 2 or 3 lessons, and, you know, the instructor was like, you know, learn this, come back. And, you know, we'd get to the end of the week and I'm like, hey, did you practice this at all? She said, no. She's like, well, you told me you wanted to get better at this, right? She's like, yeah, I don't really love it that much. It's like, okay, well, at least you know, right? So I think that's the biggest thing is as parents, we just want to see our kids have passion for something, right? And so I think if the more opportunities you put them in front of different scenarios, even uncomfortable scenarios for them, right? Teach them to be uncomfortable. Teach them to be comfortable in uncomfortable scenarios or situations. So, yeah,
I think something else too that I've noticed. I'm not a parent yet. We'll be in like a month and a half here, but I have worked. But I have literally worked with, you know, thousands of kids over the last 16 years. Teaching them, and I gave a speech to my guys about this on 4th of July, because almost all of my guys, 65 out of 100 guys that I work with at the higher levels all came in on 4th of July. And then a bunch of them did workouts wherever they were. If they're at the lake, they asked me for workouts to do, right? And I said, like, these are the days that when you're doing something that nobody else is doing, like you were talking about, drinking the green smoothie, going to bed early, all those things. Really, as a parent, want to teach your kid that is separating yourself from what everyone else is willing to do. And I think it's really important to teach them to pat themselves on the back when they do those things and to realize, like, I'm doing this to separate myself and like remind themselves. So it's not just like they become a robot and they're just doing things to do things. Well, what are your, and a big part of this too is asking them, what are your goals? Little Johnny, what are your goals? Okay. So those are your goals. How many players play hockey every year? How many make it to X level, whatever they're, juniors, college, pro, whatever it is. So if everybody is taking Saturday and Sunday off and you want to do something that nobody else is making that level, what do you think you should be doing? Maybe I could shoot 50 pucks. All right. If you want to do that, let's start doing that. And then after they do that, I'm so proud of you for doing that. I didn't tell you to do that, but I want you to realize that everybody else was at the pool all morning. You shot 50 pucks and then you went to the pool. You need to be like, wow, like that. Good job. You recognize that. And that's because that was something that I was always telling myself. Like I'm going to the gym before the party. I'm waking up the next morning. It was usually going to the gym for me. Let's get serious, right? I'm sitting in the sauna to sweat it out the day after a party in college while everybody else is sleeping until 2 p.m. Right. I've already like got the crap out of me. I feel better. Like, and I would always be like, I'm doing more than everybody else. And that builds confidence. And we all know one of the biggest keys to playing at your maximum abilities is playing with confidence. So for me, like that, it's a little thing. They're already doing it, but just kind of like showing them like, hey, be proud of yourself. Like give yourself that pat on the back. And then they want to keep doing more. Then it keeps building confidence. And now it's a positive feedback loop.
Love that. One of the things that I'm talking about all the time when I go and I speak to kids or teams or whatever is the height of your work ethic better match the height of your dreams.
Ooh.
Like if you have a dream of playing in the NHL, like for anybody that's listening, like your work ethic better match that because it is nearly impossible to play in the NHL. So you're going to have to work at a nearly impossible rate that nobody else is going to want to work at. Are there people who are talented enough that skate by not with that? Yeah, but that's a very, very minuscule amount. And the other thing that I do a lot when I go and I speak to teams is I think I've mentioned this to you, Vex, before, but like I'll ask the questions like, raise your hand in here if you work hard. Everybody raises their hand, right? And then I'm like, okay, if I were to walk into every team that you're going to play against this year and I was going to ask that exact same question, what's the percentage of hands that are going to get raised? Probably 100%. So like working hard is like, okay, fine. That's like the bare minimum. Like if you want to be great at anything that you do, again, your work ethic better match the height of the greatness that you want to be. And it's no secret sauce, man. Like you just got to put in the work. You got to put in the work consistently every day. And yeah, I love what both of you guys are saying because and you guys have been around enough people at the highest of echelons of our sport, man. Like it's not an accident for 99% of the people. It's not an accident for 99% of the people. And you look at the intention with which they do things, the intensity with which they do things, the consistency of which they do things on the ice and off the ice. And that simple but not easy, man. Simple but not easy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. I think that and the keeping things in perspective as well too, right? I mean, I know you guys have talked about perspective probably quite a bit on here. I don't know. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard it a couple of times, but yeah, I haven't listened to every episode. I'm sorry. So, but yeah, no, it's, keeping that perspective of understanding really what it is, where the situation that you're in, right? I mean, you guys are business owners for a reason, right? It's that consistency and working hard and, it's not easy, but you just keep putting in the work and starting. And I think that's the toughest thing for anybody, right? Just get going with things, right?
100%. And to kind of tie the bow on this too, like Vex and I would not be successful in what we do had we not learned the lessons while we were hockey players that are going to make us better husbands, fathers, businessmen, whatever it is. Like that's what hockey's for. That at the end of the day is what hockey is for, is to teach you the things that can help you be better and more fulfilled once the game has passed you along by. And I'm forever grateful for all the good times and bad times and everything in between, because without those, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today. We wouldn't have the companies, all three of us, that we have, and providing positive value for the greater hockey community. And yeah, I just think tying a bow on it, that's what it's all about, man. You got to learn those things and go back to your why, kind of like how we started. Like it's to learn these kinds of things at the end of the day. So Jon, we have had you on here for over an hour now. Appreciate your insight and your perspective on everything that we talked about here today. And if you can stay with us here for a couple more minutes, do a 10 questions with you. And so the 10 questions is going to be a little rapid fire that we have on our Facebook community. And so, but Jon, just thank you so much for your time here today. This was awesome. And
where can the people find you here?
And that too.
They can find us at Forecheck Hockey. It's a number 4 CHECKHOCKEY.com. So we're on all the social media stuff. We're not great social media poster guys, but we throw it on there every now and then. But yeah, you can find us on there.
Awesome.
Thanks.
You're gonna have to get some social media tips from Vex.
Yeah.
Anytime, baby. Anytime.
Let's connect then. We gotta definitely connect on that.
Hell yeah. I love helping people in the hockey world, like with their social media. It's changed my life. So definitely.
Okay. Deal.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Jon.
Thanks, guys.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.